All three readings tonight seem to have the same theme, speaking of prophets who have great difficulty teaching what God wants them to teach. There's a lesson in it for all of us. The Lord called Ezekiel and he sent him to Israel to preach. The Israelites were rebellious. They did not want to listen to him. They fought against everything he had to say. And Ezekiel went to God and complained, but God kept telling him, persevere. St. Paul in the second reading talks about how he suffered many hardships, and he didn't complain about a lot of them, but there was this one that really bothered him, about this thorn in his flesh, it says. We don't know what it was exactly, probably a physical illness of some kind. But God says, put up with it. He wouldn't take it away. He said, because in weakness you will find strength. God's ways are so different than ours. In the gospel, Jesus returns to his hometown. For years, they would never, ever assign a priest to his home parish because everybody would have known him as a kid growing up and would have had preconceived notions about what he was saying or doing. I don't know how I ended up here, but maybe it was because it was so long ago you don't remember when I was a kid. But oftentimes, and I thought of when I gave a priesthood retreat for the new men being ordained a few years ago, I started out with asking them a question. Are you weak enough to be a priest of Jesus Christ? Are you weak enough? They looked at me a bit puzzled. And I said, because it is not going to be your work, but it's going to be the work of Christ that gets accomplished through you. And you need to be humble enough to know that it's the Lord who will give you the strength, the Lord who will give you the ability to do what you need to do. That's very scary at times, but the Lord will do just that. And Jesus in his own hometown, they said, who does he think he is? The people at Jesus' time, belonged to classes of people. There were two classes. There were just the common, ordinary people like Jesus and Joseph, carpenters. And then there were the elite group who were the highly educated group. And Jesus didn't fit into that. But here he comes, just the carpenter that we all knew, the kid growing up in Nazareth, the carpenter. And he's teaching with all this wisdom. Where did he get it? It can't be true. He wasn't educated the way we were. And so they reject Jesus. In all those things, we need to remember that the Lord is the one who wants to work through us. And I think that question, are you weak enough to be a priest, we can put to, are you weak enough to be a good Christian? Are you weak enough to place all of your hopes for strength and success as a Christian in the hands of God? There's a woman who became physically very, very ill and became very weak. She became very despondent and very depressed about it. And it was springtime. She looked out her window one morning and the daffodils were blooming in her yard. And they were so beautiful, and she went outside to look at them. Then she thought, maybe I'll just sprinkle a few seeds here and there and grow some more flowers. So she did that. And a week or two later, she noticed that away from her garden, a concrete pathway that had a lot of cracks in it, and there was one little plant coming up through the crack. And she observed it and thought, it's a sweet pea. She just let it go and thought, well, it's probably not going to live there. But each day, the little sweet pea grew taller and taller, and it started to cling to the wall, got a little more tall, and then it clung to a nail that was sticking out. Little by little, it just kept on growing. So then she had someone come and put other nails into the wall and things so that it could attach itself to those. And this weak little sweet pea grew and grew until it turned into one day an abundance of beautiful flowers from it. And that day she bent down to the sweet pea and she said, message received. The sweet pea had a struggle to get up through concrete, to get to the air and the sun and everything else. She saw its struggle as her own struggle. and that she could give up and just die, or she could keep on trying. And in that, she was able to realize that God would give her the strength to persevere through her weakness. He wouldn't take it away, but he'd give her the strength to live with it. And I think maybe that's the message of our scriptures tonight. The Lord gives us the strength to live with whatever troubles we're facing. And we have to trust him. We can't take it back. We have to trust Jesus. You have to help me to get through this. And certainly the Lord will. So we ask him tonight to help us to accept whatever's going on in our life and to experience the joy of knowing that Jesus is doing it with us. If we do that, then we're going to certainly be closer to God, and certainly he'll help whatever is troubling us.